Hey, what's going on, guys? Braden with Unfinished Business here. We're bringing you a bonus video with the NCAA March Madness first round results and looking at the second round matchups and seeing what we're thinking. Obviously, I've got Greg right here to the right, so we're going to go ahead and start with the Midwest region with the Illinois and Drake game. Drexel,
You're good.
Illinois and Drexel game.
Illinois defeated Drexel 78-49. Obviously, number one seed, pretty easy victory.
Yeah.
Kofi Coburn had 18 points, 5 rebounds. Io Sumo, 17 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists. Obviously, everybody pretty much knew Illinois should beat Drexel pretty handedly, so no surprise there.
No surprises.
Loyola Chicago defeats Georgia Tech 71-60. Lucas Williamson with 24 points for Loyola Chicago. Obviously, again, it was an 8-9 matchup, but I think a lot of people had Loyola Chicago winning that game. Georgia Tech only made the tournament because they won the ACC tournament. So it's not like they were really supposed to be in the tournament. Only lost by 11, but
it could have been. It definitely could have been a lot worse. But I think a lot of people were really expecting Loyola to win that game. Jumping into the next game, Oregon State versus Tennessee.
Oregon State upsets Tennessee 70-56. Not even a close game for Tennessee. Offense could not get going. Oregon State was led by Roman Silva and 16 points. Tennessee came into this game as one of the best defensive efficiency teams in the country, and their defense looked
atrocious.
Terrible.
It was bad.
Offense wasn't much better. So
there's that 12-5
upset. Oregon State moves on. So the next one, Oklahoma State defeats Liberty 69-60. Cade Cunningham kind of struggled. He did put up 15 points, but it was a very quiet 15 for him. The Oklahoma State was actually led by Avery Anderson with 21 points. So, again, I had Oklahoma State winning that game easily.
That was a lot closer than what I thought it was going to be.
And there for a while, I want to say 5 minutes left, it was maybe even a one-possession game.
Yeah.
So
it was definitely a lot closer than what I was thinking it was going to be.
So Oklahoma State's going to have to step up next round to kind of prove, hey, they are a team that people need to take notice of. So
jumping into the next game. The 11 seed Syracuse upsetting San Diego State 78-62.
Yep, Buddy Boeheim, 30 points, and I want to say he already actually passed his dad, scoring by a point, and just his first game scoring 30. So, so very very big win for Syracuse. I had San Diego State winning that game.
I had San Diego State winning a couple.
So that was kind of a shocking game for me. Syracuse is always a good team in the tournament, so you can't count them out. But jumping into the next one, West Virginia,
Morehead State.
Yep.
West Virginia wins 84-67. Not really much of a shocker there. I believe Bob Huggins' 900th win.
Yeah, Bob Huggins, very well-respected coach.
900 win club.
In NCAA basketball, my guess is, if he's not already, Hall of Famer. Hands down. So, West Virginia wins. Then you go into Rutgers and Clemson. Rutgers pulls the 10-7 upset, I believe. Over Clemson, 60-56. Obviously, in my mind, I had Rutgers winning this game anyway. Big Ten is the reason why I kind of picked this. ACC's down. I didn't really think Clemson was a 7 seed in general. So Rutgers wins that game.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking. I was a little worried about Rutgers winning that game.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, Big Ten teams really don't do well in the tournament. Because usually, just how physical Big Ten basketball normally is. As soon as you go into the tournament, you're being used to playing that big physical basketball. Those things aren't called in Big Ten conference play, and then you get to the tournament and everything is called. So a lot of Big Ten teams tend to struggle with tournament play.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good to see Rutgers, who was actually toward the bottom of. Not toward the bottom of the Big Ten, but more the middle of the pack of the Big Ten, and
they were further down than a lot of the other top teams.
Yeah, so it was good. It was good to see a middle tiered Big Ten team take down Clemson. It was good win.
And the last game of the Midwest region was Houston defeated Cleveland State 87-56. Kind of expected on that one in my mind. I mean, Houston's a 2 seed. So going back into the Midwest region for second round, predictions that we kind of wanted to talk about. Illinois plays Loyola Chicago. Braden, who you got on that one?
I'm gonna take the. No, I'm not gonna take the upset. I'm gonna go old Illinois here. I don't think.
Yeah, I had to agree.
I can't even honestly say that I want Loyola Chicago to make a run here, because if Illinois loses to Loyola Chicago, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah,
I will be upset.
Would it be a good story? Sure,
no,
but
it would not.
My thing is Illinois, like we talked about in our first video, Illinois is playing some of the best basketball in the country. I don't see Loyola Chicago.
Yeah, I don't see them being able to match
honestly,
up.
I see this being a double-digit win for Illinois, pretty single-handedly, unless they have one of the worst games of the season and just struggle. I mean, that's the only way I see Loyola Chicago.
I just don't see Loyola being able to keep up matchup-wise down low with Kofi and with Georgie Bashanis-Vili. I don't see it. Even though Bashanis-Vili is not the biggest guy, his footwork down low is just it's better than some pros that I've seen. So I mean,
so I think we both agree on that one. Illinois, moving on.
I'd hope so.
And the next one, you got Oregon State against Oklahoma State. Before this, in my brackets, I had Oklahoma State moving on, but I also had them playing Tennessee.
Yeah, I did as well.
In my mind, if Oregon State can do what they did against Tennessee, this could be a very interesting game.
It could be an interesting game. I think honestly that if Cade Cunningham can bounce back, which I think he can, I think
he will.
I think it was first game jitters. I mean, he hasn't been in a tournament like this. I mean, with this magnitude, obviously being in high school, you play regionals, sectional, state. Yeah. But I mean, this is a national level type tournament where all eyes are on him, and I think he just got those nerves out of the way with that first game. I think he comes out and I don't know if he has a big game, but I think he has at least a game more to his standards. Yeah, and I think if they can play their game, they walk away pretty handedly with this game.
Yeah, and I'm gonna take Oklahoma State in this one. I think it may be closer than what it should be. So I don't want to say it's going to be a double-digit win for them. It should be, but it could easily be a close game.
Yeah, it could easily be a close game.
Next one, Syracuse against West Virginia. You want to take this one to start out with?
You know what? I'm going out on a limb here. Buddy Boeheim, he's dropping 40. We're putting in Syracuse.
40 is
okay. He's not going to score. He might not score 40, but I think Syracuse makes it difficult on West Virginia, and I think they might pull out a win late.
And I think before I had San Diego State moving past West Virginia in general, but I don't know. This is going to be a toss-up game, and it shouldn't be. I mean, it's an 11-3 matchup. It should not be a toss-up. But the way that Syracuse plays that zone. If Buddy Boeheim can continue to play the way he did against San Diego State, sorry, I had something in my throat. They could pull off the upset.
I think it'll be a close game.
It's going to be I think it's going to be a very close game.
Yeah,
it should not be based on seeding, but I think this is going to be a tough matchup for West Virginia.
And that's the thing that always comes up with Syracuse in tournament play. Nobody really outside of Syracuse runs a zone. Like most teams now are running man-to-man defense. You get into a tournament play with Syracuse, seeds don't matter at that point. It comes down to how good can you prepare to run against a great 2-3 zone.
And that's the thing is that some teams can run a zone, but not to the extent that Syracuse can. So I think
showed consistently that they can.
So you're taking Syracuse in this one? Yeah. I think
close game, but Syracuse.
I think I'm taking Syracuse by 2.
I'm going to say like 7, but
okay. I'm going to take Syracuse by 2 because in the upset over West Virginia.
I think it comes down to free throws late, and Boeheim team's not going to miss free throws.
And disclaimer: obviously, if you're doing a bracket thing where you go by rounds,
Don't listen
to us. Just put that out there. Disclaimer: don't listen to us. We don't want you guys to lose bets. So the next one, Rutgers against Houston next round. I personally have Houston probably pretty single-handedly.
Yeah, I don't want to go against the Big Ten team here, but yeah.
I think this is going to be a very ugly game. Houston's probably going to single-handedly walk over Rutgers.
The fact that Rutgers only beat Clemson by what, 2?
Four.
They beat them by 4, and Clemson is a struggling ACC team.
Yeah, I don't see this game being close.
Yeah, I don't really either. So I'm gonna take Houston on that one too.
Yeah. So moving on to the South region, where we have a couple upsets happen.
Baylor. Baylor.
Obviously we're gonna start at the very top. Baylor defeats Hartford 79-55. Pretty single-handedly win. I mean, no surprises there. Number 1 seed. It was a close game for a little while.
It was. It had us worried for a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, again, Baylor probably just needed to find their stride coming into the tournament, and they were fine.
Yeah.
The next game, as a Duke fan, loved watching.
North Carolina,
Wisconsin Wisconsin absolutely embarrasses UNC 85-62 in a game that was never close.
See, and my thing is that I don't think that this is necessarily fair to Wisconsin. Wisconsin's put in here as a 9 seed.
Yeah, that was the bad seeding for Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin was ranked in the top 25 for a lot of the year.
Yeah, and honestly,
especially
I think
playing in a hard Big Ten conference, I think 9 was rough seeding for them, and honestly a bad break for North Carolina.
And not just that, but off of that, I mean, they got an at-large bid, but in my mind, North Carolina was seeded way too high.
Oh yeah, for their seed.
Yeah, for the season they had, the fact that they were a higher seed, I believe. I believe they were the higher seed.
They were a higher seed. Yeah, they were 8. Wisconsin was a 9.
The fact that they were a higher seed than Wisconsin in a conference that, honestly, the ACC was terrible this year.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. But, hey, once again, the Big Ten destroys the ACC, not only in the regular season, but in the March Madness.
Yeah. Jumping to the next matchup, which is going to be Villanova against Winthrop.
Yep, Villanova wins 73-63. And I'm pretty sure all of my brackets had Winthrop winning this game. And it wasn't because I thought Villanova was bad. It was because they were playing without their starting point guard, and I thought it might hurt them in the tournament. Obviously, they proved me wrong.
I mean, sort of. They won by 10.
Well, yeah, but I mean, with that,
obviously they haven't had the greatest year. They haven't played the toughest of competition, but I mean,
well, and the guy we talked about in our first video, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, 22 points.
Yeah,
in his I believe that's his
March
Madness debut because he was a freshman last year and they didn't play. So Villanova moving on, once again showing that they're a good team to bet on in the tournament.
Yeah.
The next one,
shocker to me.
North Texas upsets Purdue in overtime, 78-69. A 13 seed beats a 4. This game shocked me. I mean, I didn't have Purdue going much further. I had Winthrop beating them.
I had Purdue losing to Villanova.
Yeah, so, but it still shocked me that North Texas pulled this off. Credit to North Texas, though. Great game.
Yeah.
Played
really well.
Played very well. Purdue looked out of sync most of the game. So, credit to them. And, they're moving on. And a lot of people probably didn't have that game picked, and they proved people wrong. I mean, yeah, I know a lot of like the big name like Seth Greenberg and them said that could be a game that could be an upset, but I'm like, it's a Big Ten school. I know we talked about they struggle in the tournament for whatever reason, but
yeah,
it's a Big Ten school against
North Texas.
I'll be honest,
this is something that I just kind of not necessarily thought of, but something that I hadn't really thought of before. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've thought of it before, but just like it had popped in my head referring to the tournament. Do you think that Big Ten teams or other teams like the ACC, like ACC teams, whenever the ACC has a good year, Do you think that they are at a disadvantage coming into the NCAA tournament after playing, like obviously playing big name schools and getting used to those types of games and getting used to the close games environments? Like obviously that's all important.
Yeah.
But you're coming into an NCAA tournament and you're playing, rough basketball all year. And then in the Big Ten, you're playing physical basketball all year, and then you have teams that come in like a North Texas or like Gonzaga, who's in a a lower division. I know I was all about just talking down on Gonzaga last week, but like you have them in a lower division, or not a lower division, but a lower conference. They don't play too many tough opponents. Then they come into the NCAA tournament and they're fresh. They haven't really had to stress for a game.
Yeah. Is it a disadvantage for the Big Ten and the ACC? A little, because obviously they're going to be banged up. Especially the Big Ten this year. I guarantee every single
rough basketball.
I guarantee every single one of the teams that were in the tournament from the Big Ten. They're roughed up. But with that being said, it's almost an advantage because you should know how to take the ball strong to the hole. You should know how to be physical down low. You should know how to rebound. And yeah, you could say the refs are going to possibly call more fouls because they're not used to Big Ten basketball. You could say that, but and we'll talk about this team a little later down in the road because I gotta say I thought a certain Big Ten team looked very soft against who they played. But so is it a disadvantage? Yes and no. Obviously they're gonna be banged up, but and the refs could possibly call fouls on normal things that Big Ten refs would just be like, oh, this is Big Ten basketball. This is the conference.
Yeah. I remember watching the Big Ten championship game with Ohio State and Illinois. Like they were just up and down the floor. You'd see players that were knocked to the floor. You'd see hard takes to the basket and just nothing.
Yeah, it's hard saying whether or not it's a disadvantage or not. I think it's all up to what team shows up and in that game, North Texas showed up. Purdue
didn't.
Showed up until overtime.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. I was just interested.
Oh, yeah. It's a good question.
It's an interesting thing to kind of think about.
We like to hear you guys' comments on that. Is do you think that these big conference teams that play a tough schedule and tough opponents and physical basketball, do they have an advantage? Do they have a disadvantage in the tournament? It's definitely a question that we'd like to hear you guys' opinion on.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see here. Jumping into the next game, which is going to be Texas Tech.
Texas Tech defeats Utah State 65-53. Mac McClung, 16 points.
Mac McClung.
Good old Mac McClung.
Georgetown, right? Recent transfer from Georgetown?
Yep, recent transfer from Georgetown.
Georgetown.
Yeah, I had Texas Tech winning this game. Honestly, I thought it'd be a little worse than just 12 points, but credit to Utah State, played a decent game too.
Played hard.
So, moving on, we got Arkansas defeats Colgate 85-68, and this score is actually a little contradicting because I'm pretty sure it was a close game at halftime.
This is one of the games
I could be wrong about that, so I don't. If somebody wants to roast me in the comments, go ahead. I watched the first part of the game. Then I had to do stuff with work, so I didn't get to watch a lot of it. But I want to say I looked back, and it was a close game at halftime. And then I looked at the score again, and it was obviously a blowout.
Yeah.
So Arkansas moves on. I think we kind of all saw that coming. At least I did.
Yeah.
So. Moving on.
We got Florida against Virginia Tech. Florida taking that one 75-70.
In overtime. It was actually a very good game. I watched a lot of this one. I thought Florida would single-handedly beat Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech was kind of down in the ACC this year.
Yeah.
In general.
They won the ACC, but...
Virginia won the ACC. Yeah. Virginia Tech, I can't remember what they finished. Obviously it was ahead of Duke. But,
yeah.
I can't remember what they finished, but the ACC as a whole was down, so I figured the SEC would, walk all over them, and it was actually a very good game. In overtime, Florida just kind of took control and went from there. But
Then here we
and this
big
is
one.
The big one that busted a lot of people's brackets. It definitely busted mine.
I mean, it did mine to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I had this team going to the Final Four. Oral Roberts upsets Ohio State in overtime, 75-72. Kevin O'Banner, a great game, 30 points for Oral Roberts. Really just dominated Ohio State. But in my mind, this is what I wanted to kind of hit on. Ohio State just played very, very soft. EJ Liddell, he had a great game, and you could argue, he was still trying to do his best down low, but even him, like some of the takes he took to the rim, they weren't what they were doing in the Big Ten tournament.
And I think part of that honestly kind of stemmed from that Big Ten championship game too, because
it could have been
with them playing against Illinois, Lindell wasn't really going down low as often as what he probably would have liked to, and they probably had an alternate game plan just because of the size Illinois has. But most of that game, Lindell was in pick and roll situations, pick and pop situations to try and get Kofi away from the basket. I'm wondering if that kind of led into the kind of soft play and not taking it to the rim, and that post up.
It's very possible. I know they did have a chance to, tie the game in overtime, to send it to double overtime. Missed a wide open three, but I mean, we talked about this. Ohio State's not really too much of a 3-point.
They've got some
team.
shooters, but I mean, it's nothing compared to like an Iowa or
And I'll be honest, I think in the first video, I think I had Ohio State in the top 5. So I
did as well.
I definitely, I had them in the Final Four.
Not something I saw coming. That's for sure.
This was one I did not see coming. Especially a 15-2 seeding. I mean, so
it's a bad time for your worst game of the year.
Oh yeah, I mean it was a huge upset. It'll be anxious to see what Liddell ends up doing. Does he go out?
Does he stay?
Does he go to the NBA? Does he stay for another year? And
I personally think he should stay. I don't think he should go.
Yeah. Well, and especially with some of the other big men coming out this year, I think he should stay another year. And
I think he needs to just improve his game a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
He needs to become more of a. I mean, obviously he's a bigger kind of guy, but
I
think he needs to develop more of a post game. I think
get a little bit more strength this offseason, come back and just dominate next year. I mean, that's really what he should do.
I think a lot of his baskets come from face up. From back to the basket.
Yeah,
side.
he can't. He does have a good shot, but it's. I mean, he needs to just work on his game a little bit more. Is what I would say. I mean, I don't see him being a top 10 pick. So I mean, just come back for another year.
Well. Just come back.
Enjoy college.
Yeah. So going into the second round of the South. So I mean,
Baylor, Wisconsin. I have Baylor.
Yeah.
Could Wisconsin pull the upset? I mean, maybe.
Theoretically, yes, they could.
Yeah, I mean, they easily could. I have Baylor winning this game.
I think Baylor's honestly going to be too tough defensively. I think they're going to honestly push the tempo to be the tempo that they want to play, and not let Wisconsin really kind of run away with things. And
now that and I'll be honest, now that Ohio State is out of the picture, I think this is Baylor's region to take.
Oh yeah, I don't think they have too much issue. They might have an issue with Arkansas.
I mean, maybe Arkansas. I
think honestly their toughest matchup for the rest of this region is going to be this game against Wisconsin, or the next game against maybe Villanova.
I would say maybe Villanova, who
may have their starting point guard back.
Yeah, so I think we both take Baylor in the first game.
Yeah, and jumping down to Villanova,
North Texas. Personally, I have Villanova. I didn't have them in my bracket to begin with, but against North Texas, North Texas looked great in their first game. Can they keep it going? I think the Magic ends.
I think the Magic ends too. I mean, they played a great game against Purdue. I mean, obviously it's a great feeling coming from a non Power 5 school and taking down a Big Ten opponent in the NCAA tournament. But I mean,
huge win for them.
It is a huge win.
Huge win.
But I mean, I think they might have used up all their momentum in that win. I mean, obviously it's great for the school, but I think, like I said, I think the magic ends there. I think they get beat by Villanova. I don't think it's going to be really that close either, unfortunately.
The next game, Texas Tech and Arkansas. This could be a good game.
Yeah,
it could be a very good game.
This could be a very good game.
Personally, I think I actually had this in my bracket as well. I have Texas Tech winning this game.
You got Texas Tech?
I think Texas Tech is going to beat Arkansas. I don't know though. With what I saw from Arkansas, I should probably change my mind, but I had it in my original bracket. I'm not going to change my mind now.
See, well, the thing is that Texas Tech beats Utah State by 12, and then Arkansas beats Colgate by what, 17?
17, yeah.
So I mean, you can't even really draw any type of conclusion from that. I mean, that's let's see, Texas Tech was a 6.
Yeah. Texas 16.
So 6 seed against a 11 and a 3 seed against a 14.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really draw any type of conclusion from, one team blew one out while the other one was close. I mean, they were both around the same deficit or around the same win margin.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to take Arkansas here.
I think that might be like our first different opinion.
I think Arkansas takes it. Well, yeah, because you picked Syracuse too, didn't you?
Yep, I picked Syracuse in that game.
So, yeah, I think Arkansas takes this one. I think it's going to be close. I think it's a toss-up either way.
It's going to be a close game. I mean, I'm predicting a close game in this one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a toss-up. I think Arkansas just takes it late.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I think they're a better free throw shooting team, personally.
And then going down to Florida and Oral Roberts, or not Florida, Oral Roberts.
Florida versus Oral Roberts.
Yeah, Florida versus Oral Roberts. To be honest, I watched that Oral Roberts game, and I know they're a 15 seed, and I know Florida's the higher seed. I am going to take Oral Roberts in this game.
I thought we were going to differ again.
The reason why I am is, they're not afraid to just shoot. Now, the only reason Florida probably has a better chance of winning this game is because Oral Roberts relies on the three. If they are not making their threes, this is going to be a long game.
Yeah, I do think that Oral Roberts wins this game too. And honestly, I'm going to take them. So I'm going to take them beating Florida, and if depending on how they play in that game, I might even take them in the next round too.
Yeah,
I think that if there is any type of a late or a low seed, or high seed, however you would see that.
Well, yeah.
However you want to see.
Yeah.
They're the highest seed.
If you want to follow a Cinderella story that could make a run,
yes,
Oral
I think
Roberts.
it's going to be them. And I'm personally
and that's not just because they beat Ohio State, but it's because I had never watched Oral Roberts play this year.
Yeah.
Watching them play Ohio State, if that's their brand of basketball and that's how they're going to play every game, sign me up. I will gladly jump on that bandwagon as a Cinderella.
Brings me vibes back of old BYU with Jimmer Fredette. Give him the ball.
Yeah.
Just go down, shoot three. I mean,
it was fun.
There's not going to be very many teams that can match up with that type of a pace. If they're running and gunning and they make around like a 40 to 45% of their threes.
Yeah.
Whoever they're playing, good luck.
Well, and the thing that I loved was they didn't care if they were right behind the line or 5 feet behind the line. They were shooting that three. They did not care.
Yeah.
If they were open, they were shooting.
If they're making 45% of that,
and I loved every second of that.
That's all I can say.
So then we move on to the East region.
All right.
And, obviously the first game, Michigan, Texas Southern. Michigan single-handedly, won that 82-66.
Yeah, won that pretty easily.
Won it pretty easily. No questions about that. We kind of saw that coming. Moving on to the next one, LSU defeats St. Bonaventure 76-61. Again, I had that game, and I honestly am not shocked that it was a 15-point win. Not that St. Bonaventure is a bad team, but I personally don't think that they probably deserved a 9 seed.
Yeah,
in my mind.
Low. I personally picked St. Bonaventure just because I
just
wanted to
probably for an upset.
Yeah, I wanted to throw in an upset.
Yeah, we'll get into this a little later, but yeah, I have something else for you. Colorado defeats Georgetown 96-73. Again, this is not a shocker. Georgetown only made the tournament because they won their conference tournament. I want to say their record was like 17-15 or 18-6. It was not a good record. So I don't think it actually says. Yeah. So in my mind, this was not a true test of how good Colorado is. I mean, Georgetown. Hey, they made a tournament. I'll give them credit on that. But
they were in the round of 64.
They were kind of in over their heads in this game.
Yeah. Then we got next one. Moving on to the next game, Florida State versus UNC Greensboro.
Yep.
Florida State takes that one 64-54.
Yep.
It's a 4-13. I mean, obviously there were bigger upsets in this tournament, but I wasn't really expecting. I mean, it's a closer game than I was expecting it to be. I definitely wasn't expecting it to be a 10-point game. But I had Florida State winning this.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I had Florida State winning that game. I definitely thought it would not be that close.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit concerning for Florida State, maybe. Or it's just the first game. Who knows?
Yeah.
But moving on, Maryland upsets
BYU and UCLA.
Wait, what?
BYU UCLA.
Where was I at?
I don't know. You're probably looking at the next one down. Maryland's in the next one down. Maryland's like down here.
Oh. Yeah, I was off of
So next
off
game,
the bracket.
Next game in the bracket is going to be BYU against UCLA. UCLA ends up taking that one 73-62. This is actually a game. This is one of the upsets that I called in my bracket. And personally, I made this decision before UCLA even had beat Michigan State. I thought whoever was winning that game was going to beat BYU. Whether it was going to be Michigan State or UCLA.
Which I did not have. I had BYU winning this game. And the only reason why I had BYU winning that game was because I was thinking, the way they played against Gonzaga, yes, they lost their conference tournament, but the way they played, I was thinking, okay, maybe they have the momentum. Hey, we just competed against the number one team in the country.
Yeah.
Let's bring this into the tournament. So that's the only reason why I had that.
You know what happened? They realized that they didn't play the number one team in the country.
Well, they realized that their conference is not as good as what.
Yeah. I had UCLA winning that one. So
yep,
it's a good win for UCLA. What's the next game?
Okay.
Next game is going to be Texas against Abilene Christian. This game ended late tonight.
Upsets the 3 seed Texas.
That really messed with your bracket.
53-52 to ruin Greg's bracket even more on now 2 Final Four teams out.
Yeah.
In my mind, to be honest, I thought Texas was going to play a lot better. I thought Shaka Smart would have that team ready for a run in this tournament. And, all credit to Abilene Christian. They played a great game. Looked fantastic, but
made free throws late.
Yeah, but again, Texas 22 or 23. At one point it was 22. I don't know if they had another one before then, but at least 22 turnovers tonight. That's not going to win you a game.
No.
Especially in the tournament. You're not. So the fact that they lost by 1, credit, I guess, but. That was a huge game, huge upset. That's what 2-15. Oh, no, that was 14-3. Never mind.
14-3. Yeah.
So
it was a good win for Abilene Christian. Texas definitely kind of threw that game away.
Yep.
Looking at the next game, it's going to be the 7 seed Yukon Huskies going against the Maryland Terrapins. Number 10 seed.
Maryland upsets Yukon. You can call it an upset. I had Maryland winning this game.
Yeah, I don't think anybody that kind of watched basketball and that really was trying to get the best bracket possible. I don't really think was picking Yukon to win this game.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong.
They kept it competitive, but
in my mind, Maryland at a 10 seed is that's low.
That's a low seed.
I understand you have to give some of these other teams and conferences, some of these higher seeds, but
the selection committee not being nice to the Big Ten.
Yeah, in my mind, a lot of people probably picked Maryland in this game.
Yeah, and there's not really much else to say about that one. But one of the teams that I personally said that was going to struggle in the tournament, number 2 seed Alabama going against number 15 seed Iona. Alabama won 68-55. 13-point win. I think that with Alabama being a 2 seed and being as highly ranked as they are, that needs to be a bigger win. That needs to be by a wider margin. It needs to be more prevalent that they are a better team.
And don't get me wrong, Iona's a good team. But if Alabama is trying to prove that they're worthy of a number 2 seed, that should have been a bigger win. I'm sorry, should have been.
Yeah, it needs. We'll get into them in a little bit later. But moving back up to the first game, the second round of the East region, it's going to be the Michigan Wolverines 1 seed against the LSU Tigers at an 8 seed. I'm personally going to go with Michigan here, Big Ten school. They played really well in the tournament. They obviously lost to Ohio State, and they lost a late regular season game to Illinois. But that game they had against Ohio State kind of gave them an opportunity late in that game, and they almost took it. They almost made Ohio State pay for making the mistakes, and only ended up losing by I think 3 in that semifinal in the Big Ten tournament.
It was a one possession game.
Yeah, sure. and then after blowing out Texas Southern, I think they're going to keep the momentum going. I don't think they're going to have too much issue with LSU, to be honest.
Yeah, and in my bracket, I actually had LSU winning this game, and it was mainly just to have an upset. Looking back, and especially after watching the two teams play, I gotta switch my. I can't switch my bracket, but I'm switching my pick on here, and I'm taking Michigan as well.
Yeah, I don't think that there's. LSU can come out and play a good game, but I think Michigan's going to take that game.
Yeah, I think
they're going to push the Big Ten tempo.
I think honestly, it's going to be a double-digit win for Michigan.
Yeah. So moving into the second matchup of the second round, it looks like it's going to be the 5 seed Colorado Bisons going up against the 4 seed Florida State Seminoles.
Yeah, and in this one, I believe in my bracket I had Florida State winning this, and I'm gonna have to. Gonna have to change that.
Yeah.
And it's not so much because Colorado scored 96 points. It's because they were playing Georgetown, and Georgetown's a little down compared to previous years, but the way Florida State played against a UNC Greensboro team that
they
really isn't that good compared to Florida State. I gotta go with Colorado in this game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Colorado State here too, or Colorado here too. I think that Florida State. Good for Colorado for scoring 96 points against Georgetown. Georgetown's got a obviously storied college basketball history, but Florida State against UNC Greensboro, I needed to see more from Florida State in order to take them in this game, and I didn't see it. I'm gonna have Colorado moving on here. And then the next matchup in round number 2 is going to be the UCLA Bruins up against Abilene Christian. I could not tell you what their mascot is, to be honest.
Wildcats?
I don't know. We'll see if it tells me. Wildcats,
yeah,
yep.
I thought it was Wildcats.
So the Abilene Christian Wildcats.
And,
11 seed versus 14 seed, by the way.
Again, it's another first 4 team making a run. UCLA in the first 4, they win their first game, and now they have a chance of winning this next game. Abilene Christian's obviously the 14 seed, and who knows? UCLA could move on again. For me, I think I am going to take UCLA in this one. Nothing against Abilene Christian. They won. They beat Texas. But in my mind, was it so much Abilene Christian forcing these turnovers or just Texas playing a terrible game? I'm going to say it was Texas playing a terrible game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna take UCLA as well. Abilene Christian, great win, great win for the school to take down Texas. Obviously, huge momentum booster going into the next round, but I don't see them being able to pull off two big. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it 11 or 14 seed beating an 11 seed a big upset, but as far as two Power 5 schools in a row, I don't see them being able to take down two in a row. So I'm going to take UCLA on this one as well.
If they do though,
yeah, if they do, good for them.
Yeah.
And what would they get for beating UCLA? They're going to get the winner of the number 10 ranked Maryland Terrapins against the number 2 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah, and in this one, me personally, I am still going to take Alabama. And the reason I am going to take Alabama is I think that first game they got their jitters out. They're going to finally show, hey, we want to be up here with the big name teams here, and I think they're going to beat Maryland. And I think it's going to be a double-digit win.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say that this Tide is not gonna roll, and that Maryland is going to take down Alabama. I've said it from the beginning. I don't think Alabama is going to be I don't think Alabama has played the competition near what the top teams have in this tournament. Maryland has played those top teams that are in this tournament. They've played Michigan. They've played Iowa. They've played Illinois. They played Ohio State. They beat Illinois. I mean, it was, good win for them, bad loss for Illinois, but I think that they can come out, and if they can push that Big Ten tempo that I've been talking about, I think they win this game. And I think it's going to be the other way around. I don't think it's going to be close for Alabama. I think it's 15 plus.
Okay.
So
I tell you what, if that happens and Maryland beats Alabama, you realize there's going to be a double-digit seed in the Elite Eight.
Yeah. Yep. So then we are going to be moving on to...
So then we go to the West, where Gonzaga...
Yeah, right? Okay.
Gonzaga defeats...
Bulldogs, Norfolk State.
Yeah, Gonzaga defeats Norfolk State 98-55.
I really wanted to see a 16 seed win this game.
Yeah, I would have loved to see Norfolk State win this game. I mean, obviously, I had Gonzaga winning.
Yeah, I had Gonzaga winning too. I didn't have the nerve to put
honestly, it was not a close game.
No, 98-55.
And to be honest, I think Gonzaga could have scored 100, but they put in some of their bench players that just to give their players some rest. So they're moving on.
Do you think that kind of makes us eat our words a little bit, that Gonzaga is not as good as we think that they are, considering they won by 43?
I mean, they played a 16 seed.
I mean,
so
did Baylor. Baylor played a 16 seed and lost and only won 79-55. I personally don't think so.
But Norfolk State's also
they're the weakest 16 seed. Yeah.
So
I don't think that's a time for us to say, okay,
no, it's not time for us to eat our words yet.
Okay. So
next game we'll see.
Next game is going to be the 8 seed Oklahoma Sooners that ended up beating the 9 seed Missouri Tigers 72-68.
Yeah, and I had Mizzou winning this game.
So did I.
To be honest, and once again, you can't count on MIZ. Let's put it that way.
No ZOU here.
Yeah, and it probably a team that has been just very inconsistent most of the year. At one point they were ranked number 10 in the nation. Then they're not ranked. I mean, it's hard for me to see them lose against Oklahoma, but it's not surprising, I guess.
Yeah, no.
So
it's not surprising at all.
So moving on from there,
yeah, we've got the Creighton Blue Jays going up against the UCSB Gauchos.
Yep,
one of the best names in the tournament.
And I tell you what, this was a very good game.
It was a barn burner, that's for sure.
Creighton avoids the upset and wins 63-62. Did not look like a 5 seed.
I had UCSB winning this game.
I had Creighton winning this one, but I have them losing their next one.
I can't remember what I put in this bracket. Actually.
Yeah, I had them losing their next game. And personally, Creighton won. Credit to them, I guess, but they did not look impressive at all.
Yeah, that doesn't. I mean, and we said this in the last podcast too. Creighton was going to be one of those teams that I didn't see move getting far in the tournament.
I mean, they got a 5 seed. I'm guessing it's just based on
the ranking at the end of the season.
Yeah, but they should not have been a 5 seed.
Yeah,
in my mind.
Let's see here. Moving on, it looks like we've got the number 4 seed Virginia Cavaliers going up against the Ohio Bobcats.
And the Ohio Bobcats at a 13 seed pulled the upset over Virginia, 62-58. Very, very well played game by Ben Vanderplas, 17 points, and Jason Preston, who we talked about this before we got on podcast, maybe one of the best for sure the best underrated point guard, maybe even the best point guard in the nation. 11 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists, and really just he controlled that game.
Yeah.
Ohio's pace is slow the game down, play a half-court game, and they were able to do that against Virginia.
And, that really kind of surprised me that seems to be the pace that Virginia likes to play at, too, so I kind of figured that with the two teams kind of style matching, that Virginia might be able to pull out the win here. I know obviously ACC.
I picked Ohio in every single one of my brackets that I filled out, and to win against Virginia, and it wasn't because I thought Virginia was a bad team. But my mind is I watched 2 games that Ohio played this year. I watched them in their conference tournament championship, and I watched them. I think it was their conference tournament championship. I could be wrong.
I couldn't tell you.
I watched them in another game. I can't remember, but I also watched them play Illinois. And they lost to Illinois by 2.
Yeah.
And yes, it was like the second game of the season for Illinois when they were still finding their stride.
And Io made it like a last-second shot to win that game for Illinois.
So, but my mind was, in that game, Jason Preston looked very impressive, that I was like, wait for the tournament.
Yeah.
And I picked them to beat Virginia as my upset in that region, and hey, thank you, Ohio.
Yeah, I
saved my bracket a little bit. I guess
I had Virginia taking this one. Like I said before, I thought that Virginia and Ohio playing the same pace. I thought that Virginia would maybe be able to maybe win on just being in the bigger games and playing against better opponents throughout the year. But
yeah.
I didn't have Virginia getting too far. I don't believe in the bracket anyway. So,
yeah.
Moving on to the next game, we have the number 6 seed USC Trojans defeating Drake
72-56.
The Drake Bulldogs.
And honestly, it wasn't close.
It is what it sounds like.
Yeah, USC won that pretty single-handedly. I don't think we have anything else to really say much about that.
No.
Kansas
Jayhawks and Eastern Washington Eagles.
Yeah, and Kansas wins 93-84. This was actually
a poor defensive game.
Yeah, this was a very poor defensive game, and it was actually a closer game than just 9 points.
Yeah.
It was very close coming into the last stretch, and I think at halftime Kansas was actually down.
Yeah.
So
I don't remember the score, but
I know Kansas isn't a top seed, but
I think a 3 seed is.
But a 3 seed's that's still a seed that you can win the tournament with. I mean, technically any seed can win the tournament. I understand that, but there's certain seeds that you're not gonna really have a chance. Let's be honest. And a 3 seed, you should be able to compete. So we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
They scored 94 points still, so I can't really say that they're not playing good basketball. Just defensively, maybe it picks some things up.
So then we got the next game.
Yeah, next game.
Oregon having Oregon having the easiest route to the second round, even over Gonzaga, having no contest against VCU due to
Oregon
COVID.
Beats VCU 1-0 in a no contest. So they classified that as a 1-0 win,
victory,
whatever that. Yeah.
One team's got to have higher points. That's how you win the game of basketball.
Yeah, and I feel for VCU. Their players make the tournament, and they don't even get to play because of COVID. And I'm assuming that they had more than they didn't have enough players to play, because they said as long as you have 5, you can play. So I'm assuming contact tracing wise and everything else that they just did not have enough players to play the game.
It has to be.
Oregon moves on, and VCU doesn't get to even play in the tournament and has to bow out.
And now Oregon gets the duty of playing the number 2 seeded Iowa Hawkeyes as they beated the Grand Canyon Lopes. Another candidate for best name of the tournament, 86-74.
Honestly, I mean, and they won by double digits, but it was actually a close game in the first half. The second half, Iowa finally started hitting their stride, playing very good basketball. I think Luke Garza ended up with 24 points. So, it's Iowa. I mean, I had them winning that game, and I mean, we got a question from Tanner asking, our thoughts on Luke Garza, which we kind of talked about in the last video as well. On do we think that he's going to make a good NBA player?
No.
I compare him to Tyler Hansbrough like I did in the first video, and great college career. He's a great player. I don't think he's going to have a very long NBA career.
I think the only way he really gets to have a long or prolonged NBA career is going to be as a bench player coming off as a stretch 4, stretch 5, or if he gets bigger. He has to get bigger.
And the reason. The reason why I think he'll have a longer career than Tyler Hansbrough is because NBA is moving towards a 3-point game, and he can't at least shoot a 3.
Yeah.
So he may have a little bit longer career than Tyler Hansbrough. Do I think he's gonna be an impact player and be able to start right away? Absolutely not.
I think he'll be a bench player his whole career.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be able.
He'll be a utility player,
or he'll be a starter on a below average team.
Yeah.
But all I can say, Iowa gets hot and they get their shooters rolling.
Oh, watch out!
Watch out! I don't see many teams beating them.
They have a lot of shooters. Bohannon, McCaffrey. Wieskamp. I mean, Garza can shoot a 3. I mean, they can hit a flurry of threes, and they're up double digits. So
moving in and looking at the second round of the West Division or West Region, not division.
Yeah, you're good.
The second round is going to start off with the number 1 Gonzaga Bulldogs taking on the number 8 seed Oklahoma Sooners.
I know that we keep saying, Gonzaga doesn't have a very good strong conference. I see them beating Oklahoma. They're at least going to win that game. And I honestly see it being pretty single-handedly, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would like to just smite down and smack down Gonzaga and say that Oklahoma is just going to beat them by 50, but it might be the other way around.
I tell you what, the minute that Gonzaga loses, we will be the first people on every social media that says we told you so.
As soon as that game happens, check out our Facebook page because one of us are tweeting out a picture of the score and we're saying, well, we're not going to tweet from Facebook, but
we'll post it.
We'll post it. And we'll be like, hey, look, told you.
Yeah,
not a good team.
But moving on, you have Creighton against Ohio. In my brackets, I had Ohio winning this game anyway. Yeah. So I'm taking them again. I don't think Creighton is. And honestly, I can see Ohio winning this game by double digits.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Ohio winning this one too. Before I had Virginia beating Ohio, and I also had Virginia beating Creighton. Mm-hmm. I thought whoever was going to win that Virginia-Ohio game was going to end up taking down Creighton.
And again, it's not because we think Creighton's a bad program or a bad team. It's because they don't look good right now. I don't know if it's because of like I talked about in the first video, everything with the drama with their head coach, or what. But they just look out of sync, and I don't think they're going to beat Ohio, who is playing very good basketball.
Yeah, and then we've got the next one. Our next matchup is going to be the number 6 USC Trojans against the number 3 seeded Kansas Jayhawks.
Rock
Chalk Jayhawk.
As a Duke fan and everything, Kansas is right up there with Gonzaga for me. I would just love to see them lose, but in this game, Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Yeah, I don't want to say it, but yeah. Rock Chalk. I got to take Kansas.
I got to take them.
I don't see the Trojans being able to come in and take down Kansas. I just don't.
And then moving on, Oregon, who didn't even play a game, is going to face off against Iowa. And, we can't even go off of, did Oregon look good in their first game? No idea.
They made that free throw, so that good.
They looked fantastic making that free throw.
I tell you what,
showing
though,
up to the court, I guess.
They they might have gotten a win on a technicality from a no contest with VCU, but honestly,
I tell you what,
that's where their tournament ends.
Well, and here's the thing, I had them beating VCU regardless.
I did too.
But my mind is Iowa's going to destroy them when Iowa's already played a game.
Yeah.
And Oregon's going to be coming in rusty.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't see this game being close.
Good for Oregon. I can't really say good for Oregon for moving on because they didn't do anything. But I mean, at the same time, that's rough for Oregon. I kind of feel bad for them with winning that game and a no contest, and then coming in and facing an Iowa team who was three or four in the country ending the season, and then
they were 4. I think Illinois jumped over Baylor, so I think it was Gonzaga, Illinois, Baylor, Iowa.
So them not playing a game and then having to go in and play a number 3 ranked Iowa team at the end of the season and a 2-seeded Iowa team. Yeah, that's a tough draw.
That's a tough draw, but with that being said, I mean that's kind of our thoughts on the first round and our predictions for the second round. Let us know in the comments. Let us know on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram. Even if you want to just comment on the video, let us know your guys' thoughts, what you guys have liked about the tournament, what you thought about some of the upsets, what you thought about some of the top teams and how they've played. Any questions you guys have about March Madness, let us know.
Yeah, let us know if you think that our picks of. I mean, obviously, I'm expecting to see a lot of backlash on the Syracuse against West Virginia picks, but
as am I.
If you have different picks than us, let us know who you're. I mean, I'm expecting everybody to usually pick West Virginia in that game, but if you've got Alabama moving on against Maryland, let us know. If you've got Abilene Christians beating UCLA, let us know.
Yeah.
Tell us all of your insider information so we can get a little better at this. So, but with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this little bonus video up here. So, like we said, make sure to stay engaged with us on social media, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.